Hey, welcome to the Coffee with Creators podcast. My name is Rob Balasabas, the host of this podcast. Welcome to season 2, episode 2, but altogether episode 102 of the podcast. I am really excited for you guys to tune into today's episode or this particular episode. Maybe you're listening to more than one episode of the podcast today. And if you are, amazing. I love it. Hopefully you're enjoying your time here. Hopefully you're enjoying the content. You're finding it helpful and it's helping you build your creator business. Today I have a really awesome guest, and I'm excited for you to meet her. Her name is Jennifer Pham, P-H-A-N, Jennifer Pham. She's the co-founder and CEO of a company called Passionfroot. She's a Forbes 30 under 30. She's a Capital 40 under 40. And she used to be, before being a founder of a tech company, she used to be an angel investor. She used to be an investment manager. She's a baller, and just really awesome individual. And she is based out of Berlin, in Germany. I spoke to her co-founder, actually, Jens, which is really confusing because you spell it like Jens. And so he's a great guy. I'm actually a Passionfroot user myself, not sponsored or anything in any way. I just really actually like this platform that they're building to help creators with their brand deals. And so you guys are going to learn all about it in this episode today. And before we jump into that, though, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, StreamYard, of this particular podcast episode. StreamYard is it's my go-to live streaming platform. I actually just did a live stream to record episode 101 about an hour or two ago. And man, they're doing some really cool things. Just like custom layouts and all this other really cool stuff. And so it's a browser-based live streaming platform. Go check it out. There's a link in the description or in the show notes for a free trial. So go and check it out. All right. No credit card required. Just go and play around with it. Go live a couple times. You can even record your podcast episodes and things like that. It's an amazing platform. So StreamYard, thank you so much. Again, head over to the description, show notes to go and get that. The other thing before we jump into this episode, make sure that you are going to my Substack, my newsletter, which is my newsletter/blog. Subscribe. All right. I want to make sure that you subscribe. You're going to get sort of behind the scenes stuff. You're going to get some updates from me. The one thing that I am working on right now actually is we're going to be relaunching our community, our private community. We're going to have apps. We're going to have like our own app that you can download, and there's going to be a community there. We're going to live stream in the community with like members only live streams and stuff like that. It's in the works right now. It's going to be a couple weeks, maybe a few weeks. We'll see how fast we can move, but I want to make sure that you are subscribed to my newsletter through Substack. So all you need to do is go to Substack. It's a link in the description or in the show notes, and you put in your email address and you're on the list. That way I can let you know once that private membership drops. If you guys were part of our community in the past, inside the Facebook group back in the day, man, it's going to be even better than that. So make sure you head over to Substack, subscribe to the newsletter, get on the list. That way I can let you know as soon as that drops. I'm going to be releasing it to our newsletter list first once that drops. All right. So that being said, I'm excited for you guys to meet Jennifer Pham in this conversation. And we just talked all about sponsorships. Sponsorships is a big deal. It's a very lucrative revenue stream. And so you're going to meet her. She's going to share some insights with you and also tell you a little bit about Passionfroot, which I think you guys should all sign up for. But I'll throw you into the episode today, and I will see you very, very soon. Hey, Jen, welcome to the podcast. Really excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for the invite. Really looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, me too. I love what you guys are doing over there at Passionfroot. I'm a user myself. Was onboarded a couple weeks ago by Jens. Want to make sure that I say that right. So yeah, I love what you guys are doing. And as soon as I was going through it, I said, hey, I would love to have you guys on the podcast and kind of have you guys share what you guys are doing, because I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of creators out there. especially looking for different ways to monetize their content and brand deals and really show up more professionally. But before we dive into all that stuff, Jen, could you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your journey getting up to here as a it's co-founder, right? Co-founder or founder? Co-founder of Passionfroot. Yeah, just tell our audience a little intro.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again for inviting me. So yeah, my name is Jen. I'm co-founder of Passionfroot and the CEO of Passionfroot. We founded Passionfruit last year or end of 2021, but really started to build the company and the product last year. Before that, actually, I was working as in a completely different industry. So I was working in venture capital as an early stage investor and working with a lot of founders together, investing in tech companies. And then in 2020, I started to create content, and I think I found myself amongst millions of people, obviously at home with more time. But there were also a lot of things going on, right? So the pandemic, climate crisis, Asian hate crimes, Black Lives Matter, a lot of things in our society. And I found in writing or in creating content, just a way to channel, I think, like just those emotions or making sense of what was going on. And what I loved about just being a creator and starting this newsletter, writing about my experiences, writing about diversity in tech, was that it was so permissionless. Venture capital itself is really like a completely different industry with a lot of gatekeepers. Creator economy is exactly the opposite, because it doesn't matter, who you are or what's your background, as long as you're putting out yourself out there. Yeah, and I just loved the process of writing, of creating, of being able to creatively express myself. I think that's in the end what led to passion fruit. I talked with a lot of creators, considered making the jump out of a very very comfortable high status job and going the full-time creator route. Talk with a lot of creators, ask them questions like, how long did it take you to make money? How much money are you actually making? How does the, process look like? How does your day to day look like? And then in the end, found actually so many different problems and issues, but found it so inspiring that really creators are a new generation of entrepreneurs, and decided then to found Passion Fruit out of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so many things I want to like kind of chat about there. I was looking through your LinkedIn. When you say creator and you're writing, was that on Substack? I think you
Yeah.
had like Substack creator there. That's awesome.
Mhm.
So you found that as a more of a creative outlet and sort of a place to share your voice and your thoughts and your just
Yeah.
sort of articulate the things that we're going through. I mean, I can definitely understand what you're going through there and kind of seeing. This has been last few years have been really crazy with Black Lives Matter and Asian hate and
Yeah.
all that stuff, and different people have found different ways to sort of deal with that, and writing and expressing your thoughts that way has been really good. That's a great way to do that. There's also what you say about, I guess you were sort of at a fork in the road of like, do I become a full-time creator or do I go and build this tech company now? I do think that a lot of creators are essentially almost their own startups, right?
Exactly.
Bootstrap, there's usually no outside investment and stuff, and they're starting this business. And so, but then also on the other side, a lot of founders are also creators in some sense, especially now with LinkedIn, right? You're seeing a lot of founders being very frontline, public, being the face of their brand in the initial days anyway, until maybe some of them embrace that. Some of them will hire marketing people to be the face of their brand or hire, sponsor different creators to be ambassadors and things like that. And so, how have you found that? How have you found now your role? You're here with me hanging out. I love that. That you're the CEO and co-founder, and you're the one that is appearing, because I think that's the best way to kind of hear the message and sort of the story about the brand. How are you enjoying still being a creator now, not just writing, but now on video? And
Yeah,
how do you
yeah,
like that?
yeah. No, I mean, I love the one. It's one of my favorite topics. How in the end, I think like nowadays everyone can or should be a creator, even as a founder. But creators, vice versa, are also actually entrepreneurs themselves. So I think taking it from one side of the angle, most of creators are actually starting to create content and share their learning, share what they're passionate about, and just start to write and create. And companies or businesses nowadays don't need to start actually necessarily with code, tech, a huge team, but actually can start with a newsletter, with a podcast. And at some point, I think this shift from like I'm a content creator and I'm creating content because I love it, to actually I'm a business owner and the CEO of my mini media company. I think that's kind of the shift we're trying to empower or help with and guide creators along the journey with Passion Fruit. So shift, from I'm a creator to I'm actually running a business and I'm
Mm,
actually making money out of that. So
yeah.
that's one side of the coin. And then the other side is what you touched upon as well, is that actually nowadays even founders of startups like me are actually creators as well, or many are leveraging it because at the end of the day you don't I mean it's not only sufficient to build a good product, but you also need to build distribution channels
Mm, that's
and
right.
actively embedding yourself in a community and also understanding what actually creators going through. So I think like creator or founders, but even right like investors, anyone can leverage the power of content and creating content and sharing their thoughts. So that is I would say like the lines are becoming very blurry. Who's
Mm.
actually a founder, an entrepreneur, or who's actually a creator? For me, it's almost like very similar.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, when you say distribution, that's so true. Being a creator, I was talking to another guest a couple episodes ago, and they're saying like startups, companies need to just start thinking when they create content as content creators, right? Like not thinking of like the old school traditional way that we used to do maybe a few years ago. People consume content so much differently now, and yeah,
Yeah,
even on LinkedIn, honestly, like for us, it's just been more impactful to post and show up as our personal accounts versus the brand page. It just
yeah,
doesn't do as well. I don't know if the same
yeah,
for passion fruit, but
yeah.
yeah, it just does
No, I
not
mean,
do as
of
well.
course, people like to follow people. People like to see the stories. So that definitely is something which, from the get go, our first employee actually was not an engineer, even though we're a
Mm.
software company, but it was actually a creator.
Yeah.
And from the get go, we're building basically a creator studio and a media company
Mm-hmm.
next to our product, right? So because
Right.
we believe creators technology can solve certain things, but there's so much education and tips and stuff to be shared. So that's why we're also running our Creators on Air podcast, where we interview creators, our newsletter, guides. So that's something we've been very, very, yeah, intentional about.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You guys are definitely doing all the right things. I just a really random thought here. Where does the name come from? What's the story behind the name Passion Fruit?
Yeah, passion fruit. I mean, I think we're so many. Sometimes there's really random stories. Sometimes there's no story at all. But I think passion fruit for us was it's basically playing on one hand, obviously, with creators oftentimes starting out to create content sharing their learnings, sharing what they're passionate about. So it really does start with your with the passion. Then we also love, like the fruit aspect, so fruitful, because our tool or our product, or the place we're trying to create, is all about, fruitfulness, fruitful productivity, and kind of putting both of those together. So that in the end, we wanted to, also choose some more like a lighter, more like fun type of name. Because in the end, it is a fun industry. There are so many funny, interesting niches creators are creating content in. So yeah, just also showing just the different colors, right? It's a very colorful industry. I think I love that about the creator economy too.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's a great name. It definitely is catchy, but not unprofessional. You find some names now with companies just like, where's that going? But I love it. I love it's just like the right amount. I think it really hits the audience that you're talking to. It's kind of
Yeah,
fun, but also I get it. It's like
yeah,
fruits from your passion, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah. No, that's great. Okay, let's talk about passion fruit itself. So, what's the pain point that you guys are trying to solve? I think the obvious one is obviously to help creators get more brand deals and sponsorships, right? But I'm sure it's deeper than that. So, can you talk to us a little bit about the pain point every day that you guys are trying to solve for your users, the creators out there?
Yeah. No, I mean, of course, I think, overall, a lot of creators, what we've seen, and the creators we work with, at the end of the day, there are many ways to make money as a creator, right? There are probably like
Yes.
20 different revenue streams.
Yep.
We would also always recommend creators to diversify definitely your revenue streams and not to rely only on one. One of the biggest revenue streams, though, is still brand partnerships or sponsorships. That's how a
Yes.
lot of creators are, even though they're small, are starting out with, but obviously also bigger ones. Maybe you don't want to charge your fans or your followers. Maybe it's really hard for you. So it's definitely one of the, also very cool ways to just work with cool brands together, promote cool brands. And then the problem, though, is that if you look at it, there are oftentimes, you're really drowning in emails, the whole back and forth, DMs, negotiating with brands. There's no really system there. You need to kind of like duct tape 10 different tools together to kind of streamline or manage even this whole process, right? From like
Mm-hmm.
a brand reaches out to you, asks you for your rates or prices, to then actually money landing really into your account and getting actually paid. This entire process takes up so much energy, oftentimes 70% of your time. It's not really, yeah, it's super energy draining. It's very repetitive. And it's not really what you're passionate about or what you're burning for, why you are actually a creator in the first place. But on the other hand, it's super, super important because that's how you financially sustain yourself.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, there are not really products or tools out there, which are really deliberately built for creators. And that's in the end what we're trying to do with passion fruit. So really, a powerful tool designed to simplify your life, give you back more time, boost your revenue, obviously, because you close faster brand partnerships and sponsorships, and also really keep giving you this peace of mind, right? Like this place where you just come to, and everything is in order and you understand exactly what you need to do. That's kind of the place where we're building with passion fruit.
Yeah, I love that. That is essentially, yeah, that's kind of what I see with you guys here. It's like I did make, and if you guys are watching this in the video version, you guys kind of see my screen. I'm just kind of scrolling around different pages on Passion Fruit's site and their content on YouTube and their podcasts and everything. It's just really fantastic. Beyond anything else, it's just a really good resource. Like you guys have so much rich resource here for creators just to understand brand deals and sponsorship pricing. This is fantastic because there's no blue book on rates, right, for creators. Like, how much do you charge as a creator, for a video? There's no real rate there. It's like kind of arbitrary, right, in some ways, depending on what that content is. But you guys just have so much resource here, so much information that is just really helpful for any creator to go and check out. So guys, go make sure you go check this out. I'll put the link in the description in the show notes. When you hear the word creator economy these days, such a buzzword, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier too that these are creators that are looking to become media companies, or they see themselves as media companies. We find the same sort of terms being thrown around by our users, our customers at Uscreen, is that they're not really influencers, because influencers kind of connotates that it's like a single, like it's a solo sort of person. They're really building a media company. And that's what we find. The most successful creators that use us, that are able to turn it into a business, really are media companies. They have multiple channels. They're not the only face of the content sometimes, right? They have multiple faces now. So what do you think of when you hear the word creator economy nowadays?
Yeah. To be very honest with you, I don't like it very much. Um, I think, I think it's kind of human to try to label certain things, to put people into boxes so that we can understand, or, understand much better who someone is, and defining that person. At the end of the day, as you already said, right, it's such a broad term, and many don't even call themselves creators. So overall, I'm not a big fan, even though I understand that we need that kind of term and it's about educating the market as well. So the type of the people, right, or companies we work with, it's really more about, like, it's anyone who leverages content, and builds their business around content. And that could be writing a newsletter, running a podcast like you, having a YouTube channel, being on social media active, like LinkedIn or Twitter, and then actually monetizing from that. And that could be being, booked for brand partnerships, that could be being booked for one-on-one calls, or workshops, or speaker engagements. So that really ranges from this one person, full-time, solopreneur, who is building up multiple revenue streams and is leveraging hugely content, to really small teams, where you have, a creator, and then a head of operations, and an editor, and a sales manager as well, and an assistant. So that's kind of the range we're seeing, when we talk about basically the creator economy. But I have a very, I would say, yeah, conflicted, conflicted
Yeah.
relationship with that, because we use it too, obviously, because we know that people then understand at least a little bit what we're doing. But I feel like in the end, it's about just, right, like, how do we, as human beings, work in the future? How do we work on our terms? How do we build basically high leverage, small businesses, or even big businesses?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's so true. It is. I love what you said. Like, I think that is kind of why this creator economy term is being thrown around, is people want to simplify this whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like, what is, yeah, like, an industry, we're trying to like really put our mark in this industry. And I think you guys are definitely one of those brands out here right now. I think there's a number of brands that are sort of shifting and dictating this, the shaping of this new sort of industry that's happening. It's kind of wild. You guys are in this, obviously in this space of helping creators build businesses and become full-time creators, media companies, right? What do you find out there as sort of a skill gap, for creators, that you kind of wish more creators had certain like specific skills to really build a business, what do you think is like, again, without being too, I know this is going to be generalizing creators, but what's a skill that
Yeah.
most creators are missing to become full-time media companies, entrepreneurs?
Yeah. Um, so obviously a lot of creators, I mean, are very different, right? But I think overall, a lot of creators, and in the end, that's why Passion Fruit also has reason for existence, I believe, is that a lot of creators obviously are very creative, good storytellers, but they're lacking also really this oftentimes business savviness or knowing how to pitch or market themselves, or in the end it's about productizing yourself, right? You are actually the brand, and how do you scale yourself as an individual better, and create actually systems around your offerings.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, for example, let's make it very concrete, a lot of creators just kind of wing it. I mean, like literally just wing it,
It's
and
so
then
true.
they get a bunch of DMs or inbounds, for brand partnerships, and then basically there's this whole back and forth. What are your rates? What are your audience stats? How many followers do you have? What can we do together? So there's this whole back and forth. Then creating the invoice for them, creating the basically the getting the creative assets from the brand. This entire flow is something which a lot of people just wing, but you can actually create a workflow around it and systemize it to make it very, very, yeah, professional, but also streamlining it. So I think this kind of like creating systems around your workflows. The second is again like productizing yourself, or actually thinking how you scale yourself and what kind of offerings you have. And then the third then is marketing them. So how do you market those? How do you negotiate those? So that's something which on honestly is also very hard as a creator if you never learned how to do it. There's no Y Combinator for creators either.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we have as founders of tech companies. But the creator economy is such a new industry, or also kind of emerging or evolving a lot. So that's also where then we come in, to give you kind of this tool set, right?
Yeah, no, that's really good. So true. It's there is a lot of back and forth. I remember. I mean, now obviously with passion fruit, and also just over time you start you kind of build systems. But man, in the early days, probably a lot of creators still, even as they matures to into businesses, there's still a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
Systemizing things is so difficult. But yeah, you guys are definitely helping with that. Yeah, this has been really really interesting. I'm just kind of being mindful of our time here. We have a few more minutes. And I would just love to hear your thoughts. Is this your first, I suppose, startup that you founded? You come from the VC world and stuff. Okay, cool. So then how did that start? Because you are not doing the coding. So is that where Jens comes in? Is a technical partner? Yeah.
So we hired after basically our creator, the our other team members we hired were actually then engineers who are
Okay.
actually builders
Yeah.
of the product, exactly. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha. That sounds good.
Yeah.
And are you guys funded or bootstrapped? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we raised actually pretty soon once we started to found a company, from a VC. So Random invested in Epidemic Sound,
Ah,
Spotify, and a couple of creator companies. So we found a great fit with them, but also 30% of our angel investors are actually creators themselves. So creators like Ali Abdal, who's obviously started out on YouTube,
okay. Oh,
or
there.
Marina
Okay.
Miracle, exactly, are invested in Passion Fruit as well.
Wow. Awesome names. Yeah. I'll actually be in Austin next week, and I think Ali and his team will be there, so it'll be cool
Oh,
to meet him
cool.
and Angus
Say
Parker.
hi.
I will. I
Ah,
will.
Angus,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the
Angus is
head of
amazing.
operations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Shout out to
the
Angus.
exactly. Shout out to Angus, and he's the one also who keeps the glue together, and he's the right side of the brain, I guess. Yeah.
He is. He is. He is. He's actually like, yeah, he's such a smart guy. If you guys don't, you guys probably, most people don't, I don't think know who Angus Parker is, but he's a machine behind the scenes, I think, of the Ali Abdal business. You know, he's fantastic. And yeah, and Marina is great as well. I've seen her. I mean, fantastic, brilliant creator, but also equally or even better entrepreneur and
Yeah.
investor. I've seen her at Vid Summit and different conferences as we travel
Yeah.
around. That's a great team. That you
Yeah.
guys have in place. Okay, this is really good. Jen, I wanna respect your time, like I said, and so we've already gone over time. So thank you so much. But as we go, guys, make sure you go check out Passion Fruit. Whether you are a creator, whether you're a brand. Jen, I actually was talking to
True.
another brand, and
Yeah.
I was really surprised that they're like, oh yeah, Rob, like this is another brand that also serves creators, and they have a massive YouTube channel, and they said, hey Rob, yeah, like yeah, if you're, we did this sponsorship. I'm like, oh what, like you guys take sponsors for your YouTube channel? Like this is a brand channel. They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, like let's talk about it because that's my day job is to part of my day job is to seek out places to sponsor or creators to
Yeah.
sponsor for Uscreen. And so even brands, if you're a brand, this is a great way to add another revenue stream, whether it's your newsletter or your YouTube channel or social. Could be part of your partnership as well. So it's not just
Yeah.
isolated to creators, right? So
No,
yeah,
actually, maybe on that, not at all. So even us, right? We partnered with creator companies like Riverside or
yeah,
Storyblocks who actually sponsored our own podcast. So
yeah.
similar story here. So we understand also the struggle. And then on the other hand, we do actually have tons of brands, especially like startups and tech companies, who are reaching out to us and who are working and finding the best creators for their niches and industries. So a lot of our creators are, like creating content for tech or productivity, marketing, AI. So a lot of companies and brands are actually then, finding and
Oh, I
working with
see.
creators together too. So if you also are a brand or a marketer, head of growth, head of marketing, then feel free
Yeah.
to check out Passion Fruit too, because that's where you actually find the coolest creator for your industry too.
That's amazing. How did I miss this? Yeah, I'm gonna. Is literally what I'm gonna do as soon as we finish recording today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sign up for this on the Uscreen side. That's great. So essentially, you're kind of you're almost creating, or you already have a bit of a marketplace here.
Yeah, I would say we're rather a software tool which any creator can use on their own, right? Like
Yep.
how you set up your own Shopify store is also how you set up your own passion fruit store or
Yep.
storefront for sponsorships. But we have marketplace or at least a partner network where we also
Hmm.
then actually bring brands and creators also together with marketplace features. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. Awesome. All right, Jen. As we wrap up, I always just ask everybody, as we wrap up, like, what's one advice that you would like to just share with our audience of content creators today as we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, I think that's actually an advice which I would also tell founders or startup entrepreneurs, and that's something I learned as a useful insight myself. Is that things are oftentimes never as bad and never as good as they seem, which means, if your next video or your next post didn't perform, it is not the end of the world. And I think you just should keep obviously going. And at the same time, sometimes you can have, like you're riding the wave, your next AI post is like going through the roof, but that can also go very quickly the other way again. So I think like in the end, that's kind of the journey as an entrepreneur and as a creator. It's definitely a roller coaster. But again, I think it's never as bad, but also never as good as it seems. So that was kind of also my own personal lesson so far.
I love that. That's great advice. Always good reminder. Don't overreact, I guess,
Yes,
basically. It's
exactly.
don't get too excited, don't get too down. No, that's fantastic. Jen, thank you so much, not just for showing up here and hanging out with us for a little while. And I know you're busy as a co-founder and CEO, but also just what you guys are building. I think it's amazing. I'm sure it's helping so many people. It's definitely helping me. And I hope it helps some of the folks in our audience today. So again, if you guys have any questions, send it over to Jen. I'm gonna say your LinkedIn. Connect with Jen directly on LinkedIn.
Twitter, exactly. Feel free to drop it in there. Yeah, we're very active there.
Yeah, and then check out all the resources that Passionfroot has on their website, their blog, their podcast, YouTube channel. So many different guides out there that I think is almost really hard to find this type of content, especially directly from sort of the source of people that have so much input and data on brand deals and sponsorships and things like that. So,
Yeah.
Jen, thank you so much for your time, and
Thank
we
you
will
so
talk
much,
to
Rob.
you. Yeah, we'll talk to you very, very soon. Take care.
Bye.
Take care.